ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my trading founder of Technically Sorted. And in this second episode of my trading psychology series podcast, I bring to you something very special, something very close to my heart, and something I've been thinking of since quite some time to do. We're going to take up Sant Kabir ke dohe, and I'm going to connect it with trading psychology. In life, cross-contextual learning has got a lot of value. And I personally believe that philosophy and spirituality are the core essence of life. And so it is in trading performance. As I said last time, the elite traders, the best of traders, always believe that trading is not just growing a skill, but growing oneself as well. So today I'm going to take up, particularly, I could go on a lot. I could take up as many as I could, but I have to keep the words and the timing limited so that the podcast doesn't become overly long. So I have specifically taken 5 dohas by Sant Kabir. I'm going to explain to you the meaning of those dohas and tell you how they connect with trading psychology a lot. I personally feel that these are the dohas which are very, very pertinent to trading as well. So the first one, here we go. Something very meaningful, something which everybody feels, and this doha is circling around the idea of patience. It goes like this: धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ होए. धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ होए. माली सींचे 100 घड़ा, ऋतु आए फल होए. In this doha, Sant Kabir tells his mind to slow down. He tells that the fruits are born when the seasons arrive. And there's a combination of hard work as well as patience which is required to reap the benefits and reap the fruits when the season arrives. Patience and calmness are the jewels of wisdom. And in the aspect of trading, it is highly important to be patient. We often have to be patient for the correct kind of trades to come about, the right opportunities to come about, to be patient for a trade to unfold in our direction, and to be extremely patient in the times where we have faced some recent losses, and not to get worried, not to get impatient about making them back, but rather looking for the correct opportunities. Through this doha, I relate to markets so much that when the market is truly ready to budge, when the moves are ripe to happen, it is only then when all our analysis and all our research is going to have meaning from a monetary point of view. And it is not necessary for us to, in the heating moment, have the benefit of the monetary point of view in order to make us feel satisfied about our work. We can be feeling satisfied about our work in the sense of patience also, keeping patience with how we are trading and what we are looking forward to do is one of the most important quality in the skill set of trading. At times, our equity curve may become slow. At times, the market may become slow, and there may not be many opportunities or a lot of movement and action. But it is those times when the market presents those opportunities that we make ourselves available to. It is only when those opportunities are there, and it is only just like, the doha says that the gardener is continuously sowing the seeds. And no matter how many times he waters the pots and the plants, the season is going to bear the fruit. Or when the ritu comes, when the season comes, it is only then when the fruits are going to be born. So we have to show ourselves the essence of patience and deal with the slow movements or the slow times of our trading, always remembering the bigger picture that when the season arrives, fruits will be born by us automatically. Dheere dheere re mana, dheere sab kuch hoye. So slow your mind down and let things flow at their own pace. Mali siche 100 gara, ritu aave, fal hoye. No matter how many times you water the plant, it is only when the season comes that the fruits will be born. Doha number 2. दुख में सिमरन सब करे, सुख में करे ना कोई, जो सुख में सिमरन करे तो दुख काहे को होए. It is so important. I mean, I can't tell you. It's one of my favorite duas, which really is connected to trading and trading psychology a lot. Dukh mein simran sabhi ko re. It means that when the times are tough, people tend to go and reflect a lot. When they're not doing well, when they're not performing well, they always tend to introspect and find out what are the mistakes they made. Try to correct themselves, right? And many times when the times are very, very good, when they're really making a lot of money, and that is how they perceive the time to be very, very good, and they are basking in the profits, etc. When there is sukh in that sense, when there is happiness in that sense, when there is exuberance in that sense, so to speak, at that time many people don't reflect, they don't assess themselves. I personally believe, and I tell this to my students as well, that it is equally important for you to assess yourself and reflect when you have done well. When you have done well, you have to also understand that there were possibly some hidden mistakes which you made, even though at the end of the day or the end of the week you were in profits. What means more is to become a better trader over a period of time and to sustain the performance, sustain the consistency, and not to get swayed away by certain profits of certain number of trades and just take it for granted that the market will answer you. And you do not have to hang around like a pendulum between the good times and the bad times, which most people tend to do, because during the bad times is the only time when they look within and they want to reflect at what they could have done better. So Sant Kabir says that dukh mein simran sab kare, meaning that every time there's a bad time, people tend to reflect. Sukh mein kare na koi. Nobody really introspects in the good times. Jo sukh mein simran kare to dukh kahe ko hoye. It is, and when you are introspecting during even the best of your trading, when you are reflecting about what your strengths were and how you can make them better, how you can play on your strengths in the future, what are the hidden mistakes you made even after you were in a good net profit, you need to understand. If you do that, if you assess your wins, if you assess your winning days, then you will understand that you will not need a lot of bad days to come. See, what happens is that there are losses, there are failures, there are all kinds of these small hurdles, big hurdles of all kinds, and they are there to teach you a lesson. So Sant Kabir says that good times in life are there, the bad times in life are there, but in the dualities of these, there are certain lessons which are hidden always. And in the duality of space, time, material, etc., in our ego self, we do not really understand that these mistakes which we have made or these failures which we have seen in front of us are just there to teach us something. And we tend to learn from the failures, but we never tend to learn when times are good. And if we continuously learn, we would understand and solve the purpose of learning. That would be something extremely important. So even in the good times, you need to look back and say that yes, I need to assess what I have done. I have to introspect, and I have to make sure that I am consistent in my trading performance. It's just not a one-time affair and just not taking the market for granted. So that is something very close to my heart, and when I say this, dukh mein simran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. Jo sukh mein simran kare, to dukh kahe ko hai. In the last line, Sant Kabir emphasizes the fact that if you have done introspections, if you have reflected upon yourself, regardless of you made a profit or a loss, regardless you had a good time or a bad time, and even in the best of your times you tend to reflect, there would be not coming a time which is very, very bad. So dukh kahe ko hoye. Why would be there a time which is bad? Because the learning you've already taken. Right? Sant Kabir always talks about these duas in the context of dualities of life, and sometimes it has got to do with our beliefs in spirituality and religion also. But these particular ones are more with the material dualities. And I personally feel that learning how to trade involves a lot about trading psychology in and around a spiritual realm. where we need to segregate what our right actions are from what our M2M is telling us. M2M is not the end of the world, but correcting our actions, getting better, improving, and becoming a better self is which is very important. Doha number 3, the third one which I have taken. Again, very pertinent, something which we all talk about, but very few of us apply, and as we grow up, we tend to gather a lot of clutter around this idea. So, the Doha number 3 is, चिंता ऐसी डाकिनी काट कलेजा खाए, वैद बेचारा क्या करे, कहाँ तक दवा लगाए. Sant Kabir talks about worries in life. In somebody's life, there could be a lot of worries, and so is it in trading. If one tends to feel the stress, feel the emotions, feel the negativity of pangs of regrets, pangs of fear, etc., it would lead to a lot of worrisome activities and a worried state of mind. And he says that worry is such a thief. Chinta aisi dakini. Worry is such a thief that eats up your heart. Kaat kaleja khaye. So it sort of scorches on our being completely, on our core of our being and our heart when we worry a lot. And no matter who is the doctor and how he wants to heal and which recommendation of medicine is there, how far will the medicine reach? Will the medicine reach in the core of your heart? He asks. Kahan tak dawa lagaye? Will a doctor be able to recommend you medicine that would reach to your heart? So, one of the important things about trading is to trade without worry. I think it's one of the only, in one liner, the only skill is to trade without worrying and only understanding things objectively. We tend to worry about something or the other. Markets is a place where if you want to, you could worry about, even after making some money, you could worry about the fact that the trade moved in my favor even further. Or maybe I could have taken a bigger position size. Or maybe I could have taken a trade which I have missed and it's worked out so beautifully. Or maybe I shouldn't have taken that trade. There would be so many things of the past and so many things of the future. So many anxieties of the future, like, what happens tomorrow? Will there be a gap up or a gap down? Do I have a position right now? How would I play out the day tomorrow if it starts like this, starts like that, etc.? Instead of being where we're supposed to be and seeing the probabilities objectively, many of us tend to worry if we will be able to do this or not. And these kind of worries, either of the past or the future, really eat up the core of our heart. And no matter how we try to, balm ourselves, if you think you are very good at taking care of your worries and anxieties, and go to a bar and want to drink, that is not going to work. Not going to work, because those kind of outer massages are never going to touch the core of your heart. If you think just zoning out by watching a movie and forgetting about, or eating a lot and forgetting about how bad your day was, those things are not things which are going to heal the core of your heart. And you have to really understand that you need a very healthy heart set and mindset in order to trade consistently. So the essence is to stop worrying. The essence is because worry becomes counterproductive. And do everything but worry, and learn that whatever you do should lead to your progress. The only way to actually progress in life is when the actions are free of emotions. Especially in trading, when your actions are free of emotions, your progress is going to happen. It is going to unfold. Somewhere or the other, it will unfold. Maybe a day later, maybe a day before, maybe a few weeks later, a few weeks before, but the progress is going to unfold if your actions are free of emotions. So that was Doha number 3. I personally feel that something very important. Doha number 4, which is again very, it is very related to what we say and what we do, and when there is incongruency between these two things. You see what happens in life, people who say the things they say and do exactly what they say are very few. And as much as a person is spiritually aligned, he tends to be congruent to these things. His words and actions tend to be congruent. Right? So the number 4 goes like this. माला तो कर में फिरे, जीव फिरे मुख माही. माला तो कर में फिरे, जीव फिरे मुख माही. मन तो चाहो दिश फिरे, ये तो सिमरन नहीं. Sant Kabir says that if there is a rosary bead, the beads of a rosary, okay, if you are, rotating those beads again and again, and while you're rotating the beads of those rosary, you are continuously repeating a mantra or chanting a mantra, right, or repeating an affirmation. So if you do that with your hands, if you are using your hands to rotate those beads and using your tongue to chant those affirmations or the mantra, that is going to happen physically. But if your mind, man to chaho dish fire, but if your mind is wandering everywhere, ye to simran hai, it is not going to give you any kind of realization. So there are a lot of times, and I've noticed myself as I have grown over time, I have struggled a lot with my psychological beliefs about trading, and that is why I make it very sure that I teach students in the process of teaching them technical analysis, teach them about trading psychology also. So there are many times when I have slipped in certain places where I have said that, okay, I will hold on to the trade till this target, I will trade, I'll take limited trades, and I ended up over trading. Okay, I have affirmed myself a lot of things even after reading so much about trading psychology, etc. And somehow I had to do a lot more work on myself in order to actually be congruent with what I was saying and what I was doing. It is difficult, it's not easy. But I have really learned the lesson that no matter how much I say to myself, how many times I write it, how many times I read it from somewhere outside, which kind of knowledge source tells me what to do, until and unless my mind is not focused on playing out on those principles, that is not going to be a proper meditative action. Ye to simran nahi. That means it's not a proper meditative action because your mind is not focused. So no matter how many times you tell to yourself, I will improve, I will change this habit, I will stop doing this, it is not going to work. It is just like saying it to yourself physically through the tongue, and also, something close to also rotating the beads of rosary. Those won't matter unless you change from within. And to change from within, you have to focus on those principles mentally, rather than letting your mind wander in different emotions and awarenesses. You thought that today is a trading day, but I will not overtrade. And your mind has started wandering everywhere after the market is opened. Obviously, there is going to be a problem. And obviously, you're not going to be meditative on those actions which you had planned to take, using your words and your affirmations, etc. Much rather, it is extremely important. Suppose you decided, okay, I'm going to take limited, very clear trades today if I get the opportunity. And then you focused on your mind to actually let that happen. Only then did you realize the benefit of, using those principles in your trading. Not about just speaking, reading, hearing, repeating to yourself. It is often seen that in this context of trading, and so it is in life also, people have so much related to the transactional nature of things in the world that if you do this, you get this in return. If I immediately take the trade, immediately something happens towards my direction, I immediately make money. There's so many expectations around those transactions. There's so much fear and anxiety and worry and regrets around those transactions that our focus becomes so much about the transaction being successful or not. I hope all of you are catching me. The focus should not become so much about, will I be making money at the end of today? Will I be making money at the end of this trading day? Rather, the focus should be more towards the principles of trading. If those principles are played out properly, then we take out the material factors, we take out disturbing factors and the emotional factors from the transactional nature of things. And the transactions are ultimately transactions. They are not what your actions are based on. But your actions should be based on those principles. And those actions and the principles that you speak about, read about, hear about, idealize about, they should be congruent to each other. No matter what it is, it could be something which is a broader aspect of trading. Maybe you choose to deal with a loss in a better manner. And no matter how many times you tell yourself, it's okay to take a loss, it's okay to take a loss. But until and unless your mind is focused on accepting it, and if your mind is wandering in different directions, no matter how many times you say, I'm okay taking this loss, you are not okay taking this loss. Principles are supposed to be followed. They're not just supposed to be repeated verbally. That was Doha number 4. Doha number 5. One of my, it's the ever favorite Doha I could have ever read in my entire life. And I'll take a moment to say why Sant Kabir Dohas are so close to my heart. So I was in school, and back then I used to be very interested in public speaking, dramatics, etc. I got this wonderful opportunity to play the role of Sant Kabir in one of the school plays. So we did that play, and I was the middle-aged Kabir, and there was an old Kabir, and there was a different student who was playing the role of a younger Kabir. I was the middle-aged one. And then after that, we did that play again. And one of these times, we did that 3 or 4 times. So one of these times, I played the younger Kabir, the middle-aged Kabir, as well as the older Kabir. So at that time, when I read those scripts and dialogues, I was very interested to know the meaning behind. And that is when repeating those again and again made me so curious about Dohas of Sant Kabir. Until now, they're one of my favorite pieces of philosophy. And that is why it is so close to my heart. So Doha number 5, here we go. पोथी पढ़ी पढ़ी जग मुआ, पंडित भया न कोय, ढाई आखिर प्रेम का, पढ़े सो पंडित होए. पोथी पढ़ी पढ़ी जग मुआ, पंडित भयो न कोय, ढाई आखिर प्रेम का, पढ़े सो पंडित होए. So Sant Kabir says, you can read books and books, you can do as much studies in the world as possible. Whatever literature, whatever education, whatever intellectual sources there in the world, whatever known knowledge sources there in the world, you can read about it all. You can read piles and piles of books in the world. But that will not make you a realized being. It will not. When he uses the word Pandit, he means someone who is realized, someone who is spiritually awakened to knowledge, not just know the knowledge, but awaken to knowledge. So no matter how many times you read or how many degrees you have behind your name, etc., Pandit bhayo na koi, you will not realize the true essence of knowledge. Dhai akhar prem ka, padhe so pandit hoy. That means those dhai akhar, the word prem has 2.5 syllables. Okay, syllables. So prem has 2.5 syllables. So dhai akhar prem ka, padhe so pandit hoy. If you've read those 2.5 syllables word, 2.5 alphabets, the word dhai akhar prem ka, if you've read that, then you have become a realized person. Then you have realized in knowledge, you have awakened to knowledge. one of the deepest things I've ever heard in my entire life. And I feel even more so because there was a time then, after having done so much education in finance, and that was the time when I was growing up in my early 20s. So I started trading from very young age and acquiring knowledge through courses like chartered financial analyst, chartered market technician, etc. And I'm not saying that I was egoistic or pompous about any kind of knowledge. It is just that I had done these best of the courses in the world and the best of the studies through these best of the courses in the world. And still, when I made some mistakes because of the emotional nature I had gathered, or the clutter which I had gathered as I grew up, this was one of my changing factors, changing moments, or defining moments in my period of growth, in the period of evolving as a trader. So, for a decent number of years earlier, I was very clear and open and good with trading. And so it is like for a lot of people as they grow up, when money becomes more of a survival commodity, then sort of fear starts to peep in. And when you're understanding yourself as a grown up, as an adult life, you want to take up responsibilities in life, and you see yourself as someone who's responsible for money, etc. I felt all these changes, and despite all the knowledge, I started making a lot of mistakes. This was a huge learning curve. I made tremendously stupid mistakes. They were not the big losses, that is not really relevant, but for a certain period of time, I completely felt lost. And you must be thinking, why am I connecting my dua to this experience? The reason is that no matter how many times you have read what you have read, or how many degrees you have got or not got, or whatever, how much knowledge you have, you will not realize the essence of that knowledge. Because everything in the world which is negative is born out of fear, and everything in the world which is positive is born out of love. And your love for what you do, and your feeling of joy in your heart, doing from your heart what you do, that awakens you to knowledge. That makes you apply that knowledge diligently. And that is a very different space. And then you realize whatever you have read, that is actionable, that you have acquired the essence of, you have awakened to it. So I had to redub myself to that heartful, deeper, tap into those deeper faculties and realize why I was doing what I was doing. If trading was not just about me justifying having had this much knowledge. That is not. If trading becomes something which is justification for something else, then obviously it is involving the ego. It is not involving heartfulness, not involving joy and love. And then I realized that what I was doing, I lost my plot on the way. Listening to a lot of things around the social structure, seeing a lot of people getting influenced unnecessarily. And I opened up to my childlike enthusiasm for things. And that was the true love for what I was doing, the true love and passion for understanding price movement, market. And trading was just a way to play those principles out. And that made me realize that no matter how much you are educated, there are many people who come to me, they're very highly educated people. And I heard in an interview one veteran investor say this, that stock market is a place, maybe you've got an MBA, maybe you've got some XYZ degree, but the stock market is a place which requires a very different skill set. It's just like because you're an MBA or got an XYZ degree, it doesn't mean that you can drive a car very well. For that you need to learn how to drive. That is why the stock market is a very different space. No matter how educated you are, the emotional discipline and the emotional quotient which is required over here is a very different equation. It obviously involves a lot of intellectual knowledge, but it does not mean that that is just what is there in the skill set. So a lot of knowledgeable people, learned people come to me. Something that, when they do my course, they will be just, immediately they'll be ready. or it will be so easy, a cakewalk, because they've got the logic and the intellect. It will be a cakewalk to the course. But I tell them the first session itself. See, it is not just about the logic. It is about logic, performance, psychology, and willpower. All that put together will take you ahead. And when these elements like psychology, willpower, the sheer love for what you do, and the patience which is required to go through this process, when that is floating on the yoke of love, then in that mental state, there is no fear, there is no greed, there is no emotion, there is no regret, there is nothing negative. It's just you in the market and your love for what you do. So, if you have the love for what you do, पढ़े सो पंडित होए, ढाई अक्षर प्रेम का पढ़े सो पंडित. If you have understood the love, then you have awakened to knowledge and the essence of knowledge. Also, I deeply realize this because I'm connected with all of you. Anyone who is listening this, it may be so that you're my student who have studied with me in some particular batch or in the current batch. It may be you are following me on social media or some of the other sort of maybe my Telegram channel, my Twitter, or my podcast series, wherever it is. When I connected with a lot of people over a period of time, since the last particular 4.5 years of my when I'm training people, I realized that this is so deep that no matter how well educated I was to train someone, it wasn't enough to become a teacher. It only became important to be called as a teacher when I was open compassionately with empathy to understand the problem of other people. And that again floats on the yoke of love. Something very personal, just sharing with all of you. But then in the context of trading, what I said, it is how it is. You need to realize and read up your purposes or your love for what you're doing. Of course, the money part is there. It is a way of looking at the output. It is a byproduct of all your actions. It is not the core purpose. It is not the core essence, rather. It is the byproduct of your actions. And it is a person which is it is a purpose which is an external purpose. What is important is to focus on our internal purposes. Our internal purposes can be achieved every single day. That's in our hands. The external purposes will be achieved someday or the other. Somehow or the other. Right? So that is how we need to continuously dial in to our love for what we do. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could add a lot more, but I wanted to keep it cryptic and to the point and have you all chew upon these thoughts, and hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'll come back soon again with more ideas on trading psychology and how I'm using these podcasts to express trading psychology in a very different way, so that we understand that the world we connect around with us is something which contributes to our mindset, contributes to the principles of life, the principles of our social structure around us, how we have grown up. Everything contributes to the mindset we have, how we look at life, how we look at many things which we have done in our work life or our student life in the past. All this contribute to the mindset which we have. And whenever I've read about trading psychology, I've really respected a lot of authors and learnt a lot from them. But I see the reality, the ground reality missing in many places, where we don't realize that we are not just machines, we are human beings. We have had the clutters and influences which we have built up over time of many things in life, and the pace at which we are going, the information we have around us in today's world and era is a very different space, a very new age. In this, understanding trading psychology requires us to understand aspects more than simply understanding that you hold on to a trade till the target or cut your losses. That is fine, that you have to do. But why to do it and what is stopping you from doing it is a matter of inside job. So, on that note, I'll take your leave for today. Hope you like this podcast, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube, or even if you're not watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe it on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube by searching for Mohak Pachesia. And those who have, always approached me and my team and shown interest in learning trading, technical analysis, trading psychology from me. If you are interested, you can go to www.technicallysorted.com and you can contact my team. Thank you so much for listening to